the AU Falcon, the most misunderstood car in Aussie history. People call it ugly, they call it cheap, they call it a paddock basher. But today, I'm here to prove the truth. The AU Falcon is actually a supercar. Yep, you heard me, strap in legends, because I'm about to change the way you look at this magnificent beast forever. Now, let's start with the obvious, the design. The AU Falcon's front end has copped more hate than Nickelback's greatest hits, but what most people don't realise, that it was ahead of its time. See those droopy headlights and melted cheese front bar? That's not ugly, that's aerodynamic efficiency. Air doesn't flow around an AU Falcon, it runs away from it in fear. The shape is so slippery, scientists believe if you throw one off a cliff, it won't fall, it'll glide. Forget a Lamborghini Huracan. The AU Falcon has the aerodynamics of a brick that's been to TAFE. Under the bonnet, we've got the legendary Aussie 6. Some of them even came out with a V8, which to this day is still scientifically proven to increase mullet growth by 40%. But let's focus on the inline 6. This engine was designed to survive the abuse. You could run it with no coolant, 3 spark plugs missing and half a sump gone, and it'll still fire up the next morning. Ferraris need regular servicing, Bugattis need special oil changes. The AU Falcon? You just top it up with the Servo 20W50, give it a bootful, and she'll sing. That, my friends, is what we call reliability engineering. Supercars pride themselves on comfort and luxury. You know what else has comfort? The AU Falcon Fairmont gear. Leather seats, wood grain trim, a cassette player so advanced it could rewind faster than a Walkman on steroids. The back seats, spacious enough to fit 3 mates, carton of BB and still have room for regret. Some models even came out with cruise control, which is basically the Aussie version of self-driving. Eat your heart out, Tesla. Now, supercars are judged by how they handle. The AU Falcon, it handles like a dream. Sure, the dream is a nightmare where you're understeering into Bunnings car park pole, but it's still a dream. Independent rear suspension on some models, Formula 1 technology right there. And thanks to the sheer size of the AU, you'll always know when you're cornering because the body roll makes it feel like you're piloting a fishing trawler through a cyclone. Brakes? Oh, the AU Falcon has them, at least, technically. Push the pedal and eventually you'll come to a stop. Usually 3 car lengths past where you planned. Supercars might have carbon ceramics, but the AU Falcon has something even better. The Pray and Hope system. It builds character. People love to talk about safety ratings. Well, the AU Falcon was so safe, the crash test dummies refused to get it in. They knew they'd come out with emotional damage. But let's be honest, the AU Falcon's real safety feature is intimidation. No one wants to crash into an AU Falcon. Not because they're scared of damage, but because they're scared of what kind of bloke is behind the wheel. If you see an AU with a missing bumper and a homemade snorkel, you don't change lanes, you change postcodes. Supercars appreciate in value. Guess what? So does the AU. You could pick up one for $200 a few years ago, and now they're going for thousands. Why? Because Australians are finally realising what we always knew. The AU Falcon is a cultural icon. And when the last SS Commodore has been locked in a collector's garage, the AU will still be out there doing burnouts in a paddock, hauling trailers and refusing to die. Let's not forget the AU Falcon's contribution to motorsport. Sure, it wasn't the most successful car in V8 supercars, but it looked intimidating. And it was like turning up to a street fight with your older cousin who may or may not be on parole. And on the burnout pad, the AU reigns supreme. No Ferrari can hold a skid as long as smoky as, or as dangerously close to a crowd of cheering bogans. Most supercars can barely make it over a speed bump without ripping off a front lip. The AU Falcon, it was built to survive the outback. You can take the AU through mud, sand, river crossings, and he'll come out the other side coughing and spluttering and still somehow running. There are stories of the AUs being abandoned in paddocks for 10 years, filled with spiders, snakes and regret, only to fire up on the first crank when someone put a fresh battery in it. That's not a car, that's a cockroach with number plates. Supercar owners spend hundreds and thousands customizing their cars with carbon fibre, titanium and bespoke leather. AU Falcon owners? A roll of duct tape, a pod filter from eBay. and a Bunnings snorkel kit. Job done. Want racing stripes? 2 cans of deluxe spray paint. Want bucket seats? Nah mate, milk crates work fine. And let's not forget the ultimate mod, cable tying the bumper back on. That's not a repair, that's art. People forget the AU was packed with cutting edge technology for its time. We're talking central locking when it worked, power windows that went down quicker than they went up, a trip computer that told you absolutely nothing useful. Supercars these days brag about hybrid systems and fuel efficiency. The AU Falcon, it solved the environmental debate in a different way. See, they're impossible to kill, which means fewer cars go to landfill. That's recycling at its finest. And sure, it might blow more smoke than a bushfire, but think of it as natural mosquito repellent for the entire suburb. Here's the thing, supercars come and go, models change, companies fold, and technology moves on. But the AU Falcon, it's eternal. Every Aussie has a story involving one, whether it was their mate's P-plate a skid pig, their parents' family taxi, or the one that they saw abandoned behind the brick shed. Even when the last one eventually dies, the legend will live on in memes, burnout videos, and the nightmares of every bloke who ever owned one. The AU Falcon isn't just a car, it's a lifestyle. It's every bloke who said, I'll just give it a quick service, and ended up spending 6 hours swearing in the driveway. It's every P-platers who thought limited bashing was an Olympic sport. It's every mum who drove the kids to school in one, with the roof lining sagging so low the kids thought it was a cubby house. The AU Falcon is more than just metal, it's an Aussie history on wheels. So next time you see an AU Falcon, don't laugh, don't sneer. Stand in awe of its aerodynamic melted cheese front end, its bulletproof engine, and its sheer refusal to die. Because make no mistake, the AU Falcon isn't just a car, it's a real Aussie supercar. Alright legends, chuck a like if you've ever owned one of these beasts, subscribe for more Aussie car culture, and drop your AU Falcon horror stories in the comments. Let's celebrate the supercar we didn't know we had.